and she fell like 30 feet into the water and broke her leg and had to swim to shore with her feet still tied together by the bungee cord in like gator infested waters and get rescued.
And then the gators helped her?
Moisten your thighs, Steve.
Yeah, really. I
You
gotta
want-
lube them up.
Every depiction of Mexico has like a yellow haze filter over
Yeah,
it.
exactly. It's all sepia tone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of Mexico is sepia. Finally, we can talk about that on an episode of A Couple of Fellas.
I don't know, should we?
I think that we should, and I think I should hold you to it.
Yeah, sure.
I think that we should make the decision right now.
I mean, I don't
Right
know.
here, right now.
what
Live,
kind of-
recorded, not live.
I don't know what kind of information I have to talk about, but yeah, sure, let's shoot.
Okay, so when we do this trip, which will be, aside from a prearranged Punta Cana trip, the only international trip that I've gone on with you, this will be the first. Whatever vacation we take next.
Yes, I guess excluding the first, it will be the first, correct.
Excluding we went to a resort and were ferried from activity to activity. We did no exploring or planning or any trip taking of our
I
own.
spoke Spanish to a
We were-
bartender, I'll have you know.
We were in another country. We didn't travel.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I traveled on a plane to get there. I don't know. how
Also
you
not
got
with
there.
me.
Yeah.
Different plane there, separate seats on the way back.
Yes, we had separate seats.
Very separate. We had the same seat.
I'd be a bit concerned if we didn't have separate seats, actually.
Separated seats, you dildo. Is dildo a swear word? Oh, we're minute 5. We're good.
Okay, cleared the hurdle.
Dill beep.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, this will be the first like actual bit of traveling, and there's a lot of places I still want to go. There's a lot of places I would go back to. I
Mhm.
think that there's a wider range of places for you to pick from. For some background, Steve has finally agreed after years of me bothering him to go on an international trip, like a real trip, at least a week, hopefully 2, maybe even 3, but like a real trip. And what countries have you been to outside the US?
England, Mexico, Canada, Scotland, and I believe that's all of them. Yeah.
So UK and North America.
yeah.
So all of Asia, South America, Australia, all of that is Africa,
Foreign, yeah.
Antarctica, but that's a bit pricey. I am going to go there at some point, but
Okay.
it's a little pricey.
When
we could do
some
that one
point-
if you want.
I don't.
Okay.
No, I'm good on Antarctica. For
I heard
now.
you should do other places first. One of my friends went recently, and she said that it's good she did a lot of traveling beforehand because nowhere else in the world is going to seem nearly as beautiful now that
Yeah.
she's seen Antarctica.
Yeah, I think we had this conversation on the podcast before because I think
We've just put out
it's
so
just-
much
I think
content. It's hard to
Yeah,
track.
exactly. I think it's just different. I don't know. Clearly, she's been there and she's been all over the place, and I haven't. But I don't know. I think it's
Well,
just
this
like
is what I want to-
incomparable.
This is why I
to
want
some
to have
other
this
things.
conversation. So strictly for natural beauty or wonder, that's not the purpose of this trip. That's not your aim.
Yeah.
There's a lot of styles of trips. There's a lot of ways you can do it and you can mix and match. But that's why I want to do this conversation on the podcast. So there's a recorded record and I can hold you to it.
Oh, I see. Okay. So you've trapped
So like,
me.
yeah, we can play 20 questions with this. Let's talk it out. Do you think you'd want to go to a place where there's a lot of people, not a lot, a mix? Like you can for sure do countryside and urban pretty much everywhere you go. But for the most part, do you think you would rather do
Yeah, where there's people.
less developed or more? Like more cities
Yeah.
than backcountry,
Cities.
or mostly cities with a mix of some hiking and camping? Or
Yeah, that one.
okay, that's an easy enough one. You do day or 2 outings. You can rent camper vans for a day. Like there's ways to do that.
I don't want to be camping. I didn't say
Okay.
that.
Then you can just drive or take a van to a gorge nearby. Like there are places to hike and do nature stuff if you want.
By cities.
Yes. Depending on where you go, especially. Do you think you would want to aim Europe, South America? Europe is kind of the easiest and most diverse if we want to do multiple places,
Yeah.
and it's what I'm the most familiar with.
Okay.
But if we did Asia or South America, the flights over are a little more, but when we're there, it's much more affordable.
Okay.
A little more fly by the seat of your pants, keep less cash on you, like maybe
How
a little
much do these
riskier.
flights cost?
Well, after the pandemic, we're going to have to see.
Yeah,
I don't really
true.
know
I
what
guess
things are
that's
going
a
to
huge
look like.
variable.
But Europe, you can usually do for a couple $100. South America, a handful of hundred, like maybe between 500 and 1,000,
Mm-hmm.
depending on where you're going. Also, if you're going to the southern tip of Chile or Peru or whatever's down at the bottom, that's
Yeah.
going to cost maybe $1,000.
Okay. Okay.
If you're going to Asia, if you get a real good set of flights, I've found some where it drops to like 800-900, but it might be $1,000.
That's crazy.
I'm
just for
usually
flights.
booking round trip though.
Still.
Yep. But it depends what you do. Then you go there and you can do most of what you want. Like if you round up, because there might be $100 day where you're doing a heavily commercialized tourism thing,
Mm-hmm.
but there might be a lot of days where it's $10 a day you spend between souvenirs and food and lodging.
Yeah.
So you're going to a place where you're going to spend maybe $30 a day in Asia.
Mm.
If we did Thailand or Cambodia, I'll have to definitely double check the numbers, and it's going to be weird and different post-pandemic to see what opens and how prices are affected. But
Yeah, that is going to be so
so
crazy.
keep in mind, these are like wide margin of error estimates, but I can at least tell you in relation to each other how things will cost.
Yeah.
I don't know what the absolute cost will be for these things.
So, I mean, are people still traveling to these countries now?
Not for most of them, not really.
Like
Most countries have like some degree of lockdown right now.
Yeah, but how locked down is? I know that there's a lot fewer planes flying because people just don't want to fly. But what is the actual legal restriction on flying right now, or are there any?
There's heavily recommended, I don't know by country what is legally restricted, although I'm pretty sure there are countries with a bit stricter control of its citizens than the US, not even in a negative way, like European countries
Yeah.
that have some actual degree of lockdown on this. But I think in the US, isn't it just like don't unless you have to? Like if you're considered an essential business or you have to for business, okay. If you're healthcare, sure. If you're getting home from somewhere, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think is it just a recommendation right now?
Yeah, I don't think that there is a legal ban.
I do know that flights are still running because airlines, the way contracts are set up with like airports,
Mm-hmm.
apparently have to run at least X number of the flights that they have the time slots for.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they forfeit those time slots to other airlines.
Oh wow.
So there are empty or one-person flights
Yeah.
still going on because they have to fly like 70% of what they promised they would, I guess.
Being the only guy on a plane, how many are there though? Like, what are the odds if I were to buy a plane
Right
ticket
now, the
that I
odds are
be
you
the
would be
only
one of
guy?
a couple people.
That sounds pretty safe.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's
I would
real
agree.
easy to social distance.
But when you get somewhere and nothing is open or allowed to be open,
Yeah.
you're most likely, you could go to one of the places that really just hasn't been impacted by it,
Yeah.
but most of those are locked down.
Yeah, especially if you're coming from where we're coming from, they were not going to trust you. They're going to make you quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Like, we're not doing this right now. I'm talking about afterwards. And unfortunately, that might mean it's next spring or next summer.
That's nuts.
So that's why I think it's possible for us to do 2, maybe 2.5 or even 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how your vacation days roll over, but like, that's going to be the only vacation I really take from this
Yeah.
job.
So are those countries in Europe that you're talking about, are most of them locked down probably even worse than we are here?
I think so.
Right?
A lot of
'Cause
them
it
are
definitely-
or have been. I know
this-
Italy went real hard. Spain.
mean, yeah, they went real hard a little bit late, but you know what? They figured it out eventually, so good for them.
Mamma mia.
Mamma mia, that's a spicy meatball.
So back to places.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you want to do a Euro trip? Like, what do you lean towards? Do you want to walk around and be the white giant in another country?
Like
or
Japan.
Yeah.
I would like to go to Japan.
Japan is pretty high on my list.
Yeah.
And we could probably do most of what we want there
It's
within
your
one
birthright trip.
and a half weeks. Yeah. Depending on how actively you like to pack it. Generally, when I'm not like at a resort vacation or on a cruise,
Mm-hmm.
I pack it full. Like, I have at least something I'm doing each day.
Yeah.
Most of the time when I was traveling, I would walk the whole city and see everything that I wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that was just what I did. Like when I went to Paris, that place is huge. I did the catacombs one day, and pretty much the rest of that day and the following day, I just biked. I like rent a bike,
Yeah.
biked around all of Paris and saw a couple museums, went inside, but for the most part, just like saw everything I wanted.
Wow.
So-
yeah, that sounds super nice.
That's super fun. Just walking around, super
Yeah.
fun. There's actual outings. There's a literally infinite number of things we can do.
Infinite.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You could keep twisting stuff or figuring things out or coming up with new ideas
Mm-hmm.
until practical infinity.
Okay.
So,
So yeah, let's do the Paris bike one. That's pretty cool.
biking around Paris was fun. I'm definitely fine to mix. Like, would I go back to Paris? Yeah. It's not that high on the list.
Yeah, I guess
Track back. That would be a good one with like a romantic interest.
Yeah.
I can definitely give recommendations, but I'm down to do whatever trip you want, really. There are definitely places in Europe that I would highly recommend too.
Yeah.
Like the Baltic countries.
Yeah.
I would love to do, if we decided Europe, I would love to do a week and a half, 2 weeks of whatever things you were thinking top, and then a week of the Baltics, because those were so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I think, the pinnacle of the college Euro backpacking hostel bouncing time that I had. It was perfect. The exchange rate was great, so you were getting like 2.5 times the value for your money compared to America. I had a 3-course meal with 2 beers, and I tipped at a restaurant, and it was $17. It was amazing. And everyone was super friendly and super welcoming. I felt super safe in every city. Their capital cities only have a couple 100,000 people. It was, their whole country has 2 million people.
Yeah.
Which is like, what, Connecticut's population?
Sounds about right.
It's like 1.8. I don't know. 3. But
keep guessing. You'll get it eventually.
6. Where's the fact check?
You got it in. You
Alexa,
can figure it out.
How many people live in Connecticut?
As of 2017, the population of Connecticut is 3.588 million.
Okay,
yeah,
I said 3.
Yeah.
Should have stuck with 3.
On the third guess.
3.588 million?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Alexa. So I hope you guys could hear that, but if not, are we going to get sued for having Alexa?
No.
Okay, cool.
No, we might get a bonus.
Bezos, you have all the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Please don't come for us.
He loves it.
So yeah, those countries were great. The hostels were super fun. It was like €9 a night for one in the old town in the capital city of Estonia, where all the clubs are open till 5 a.m. Everyone is just super friendly and from all over Europe and the US and Australia in the hostels, and everyone's just like super cool and there to meet cool people and have a good time and not much else. So I would highly recommend that if you wanted a taste of the like, yeah, let's backpack Europe and do hostels. I think those countries are like a low cost, high fun.
I don't know if I would
out
want
of the
to do
way.
the whole backpack thing at this point.
It's also, I mean, again, it's all on a spectrum. I don't think
Yeah.
we would couch surf at all.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
hostels are very fun for social reasons. Most of them have lockers. I always picked one that had locks, like so you could get in, like the building was locked and they had lockers and there's Wi-Fi. Like,
what's like the general age range at a hostel?
most of what I found was a couple of like real cool adventurous teenagers, like maybe 18, 19, the occasional 17-year-old from Germany.
Yeah.
A good number of early 20s, like university students from around the world. A
Yeah.
lot of like
Who
20,
you'd
21,
expect.
22, 23, maybe even 24 and 25 with like grad students and European students starting later. And then the occasional older person, a 30-year-old, a 45-year-old.
Really?
And those were all like very unique. Like when I was
Huh.
in Bulgaria before we went up to the mountain to go snowboarding, that was probably the sketchiest hostel I stayed in. Like pools of standing water in the bathroom. I couldn't stand up straight in the shower. Like the insects. It was a sketchy one.
Yeah, yeah.
But there was like a 45-year-old dude staying there, and he was just doing like, I think he had just had some change in job or like I don't know, some interruption in work, but not a bad one. And he was like biking across Europe,
Oh, that's so cool.
like just going. And I was like,
Good for
that's sick.
him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you meet like very cool, interesting people a lot of the time. But for the most part, the bulk of the age is concentrated in like the 20 to
Yeah,
26.
Yeah. Who you'd expect.
Exactly. And a lot of that tends to be a little older. The Americans, I think, were kind of on the younger side because in general, it seems like a lot of our European counterparts started college and university a little later. Like a lot of my Swedish friends and my friends from the Netherlands that were studying in Sweden were in their first or second year of university and they were like 20 or 21.
Yeah, I feel like college is treated differently over there. Like in
Oh
Europe,
yeah, for sure.
in Europe, isn't it much more common for someone to basically do an apprenticeship out of high school with some career? Like a lawyer does an apprenticeship instead of necessarily going to like a European
There's
law
also
school.
school. They also have law school, but it is a lot of it's structured different. I need to remember back, but I know for medical school they get accepted right out of high school and it's 6 years of college and medical school instead of 4 and 4.
Yeah.
So like a lot of graduate programs you can apply right into. and
Yeah,
that
I
involves
guess.
job training and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot less of the take generalized things, like continue developing yourself, your character, and your education. It's a lot
Yeah.
more suited to giving you skills and specific knowledge and job training.
Yeah. It seems like it pigeonholes you earlier.
Yeah, but also don't forget they have waves of exams that thin the herd as people get to each level of school.
That's true. Yeah, I mean the U.S.'s approach to college is so, I don't know.
It's different, but it definitely makes for the most fun
It's
experience.
kind of like, yeah, it's kind of just like a single like catch-all net that just it kind of you can put anybody in there that will graduate from college, and they pretty much just follow the same exact system as everyone else. Where it sounds so highly specified and diversified in Europe.
I don't know about that even so much. It was
Okay.
still classes, class projects. I did
Yeah,
an
true.
engineering class and I was with 3 or 4 other students.
Mm-hmm.
And they have, at least that university had things a little more flexible in terms of like quarter, 2-quarter, 3-quarter classes
Mhm.
so that it fit the material.
Yeah.
Like that, but I don't know that that leads to a more unique education.
Mm-hmm.
But it was definitely, there was less school spirit. There weren't school sports teams. There was very little
Yeah.
extra school competition. So it was much more, it felt a lot more like a job for a lot of my Swedish friends. Like they would be at
Okay.
home or like living with their girlfriend. They'd be 22
Yeah.
and they would make a lunch, like go to school, go to their classes, eat their lunch in the courtyard, go to their other classes, and then go home. Like it
Mhm.
was, there weren't really dorms either. So everyone kind of lived in apartments or biked from home or something like that.
Yeah.
It was definitely weird because it was less of a holistic experience. And having experienced both, I'm very glad that I got to go over there and do that for a semester. But I think the more fun one and the one that you can get more out of if you work to take advantage of the opportunities is the American system.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the one that I would rather have done 3.5 years rather than vice versa.
Yeah.
We have a unique community feeling and excitement and passion about it.
Yeah, they
And
build
there's
a
a lot
cult
more-
around. They build a cult around your mascot at every school.
For sure. And there's also just a lot more social opportunity, extracurricular opportunity. The involvement that we stress so heavily in America really plays out when you look at it at the college level.
Yeah, it becomes your truly prime focus for your entire time being there.
So yeah, that's really fun. You think you want to do Europe then or Japan? Let's get back to this.
Europe or Japan?
Or South America.
Yeah, or
Or
South
other
Africa.
parts of Asia.
Yeah. It's
South Africa, you are, I think, a little bit more limited in terms of geography and where you can and can't go, what does and doesn't have major hubs and cities.
there's
and,
a lot of stuff you can only do there though, like the safaris and stuff.
Yep, safari, shark diving in some parts. It's there in Australia, like off of South Africa. But that is definitely true. But it's a handful of bigger, like a day trip or event type thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be less if you're there hanging out and wandering and finding things.
Yeah, true.
Just to weigh both sides of it. I think for like a first trip, Africa might be, I don't know if more difficult or like
yeah. Might
it's
require
a
some,
less
traveling
stress-free or like,
experience.
yeah, it would definitely be one where you have to be a little bit more ready for difficulty, I think.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I think Europe is probably the easiest and could be the most dense.
Australia would also be pretty easy.
Australia
For similar
or
reasons.
New Zealand or a mix.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Hannah will be living in New Zealand.
very true.
She said we're welcome to visit her and she'll do like a camper van trip around New Zealand, which is Lord of the Rings ass. Like,
Yeah.
I'm there.
Go all the way to Mordor.
I'm there.
From the Shire.
Got a bungee jump. That's where it was invented, New Zealand.
Really?
Yep, you can jump where the first bungee jump was. So
Huh.
that's what I want to go do.
Yeah, but there's no way they knocked it out of the park with location for the first one.
No, it's just like a pretty high place and it was the first. It works and it's still a good time, I'm told.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a great time. I mean, how different can bungee jumping be? I guess it's just longer bungees.
Yeah, when we were in Zambia crossing over into Zimbabwe, on that bridge above the Zambezi River, there is bungee jumping. And that's like right after one of the 3 largest waterfalls in the world. It is massive. It is, I don't know, like 180, 200 feet down.
Yeah.
This bridge is high up, and there's also like alligators and hippos in the water.
Jesus.
And as they were hawking it to us, like, yeah, you want a bungee jump? Hey.
Mhm.
And we're like, yeah, not really. Like, they show us a video. We heard about this happening, this event, from other volunteers at our compound. And the guys working this bungee booth showed us the video of like a year or two before. A girl was bungee jumping there, and her bungee broke, and she fell like 30 feet into the water and broke her leg and had to swim to shore with her feet still tied together by the bungee cord in like gator infested waters and get rescued.
And then the gators helped her?
They weren't a problem, I guess. She got lucky.
Okay, that's
But, like,
about all she could ask for.
So she got out of it okay, but it's not the best advertising if you want to show me what is arguably the worst possible fuck up of this activity. Like, I've never wanted to bungee jump here with you guys at this stand more now that I've seen what could happen if this goes wrong.
And it has happened.
So yeah, like that's also, if you do it in New Zealand, I'm pretty sure it's safe. You can roll the dice in Africa, or we could do a slightly easier continent.
I want to do it off of a giraffe's head. I want to bungee jump off of a giraffe.
Long neck ass boys.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe I would recommend not Africa, but if you want to keep that in the running. Right now we're looking at Asia, South America. South America, your brother could come or give us tips.
That's true.
I haven't done any of South America.
Really?
Not yet.
Huh, that's crazy. Where would you want to go in South America?
Definitely some of Peru.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would love to do some hiking in Chile, but that's like way far down, really high plane prices. Like that might be a standalone trip to actually go down to the Patagonia mountain range.
Yeah, I feel like South America isn't like Europe where you can just like kind of take day trips to these magical little lands that are so close by. Like
whatever the heck the name I've made up for Last X was, and I had a plan for, I think it was Uruguay, Chile, Argentina, or like Uruguay, Paraguay, Peru or something. It was like 3 countries of 5 or 6 major ones that we wanted to hit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was going to be like maybe 8 or 9 days, but we hit a lot.
Yeah.
But that was like the best we could do. It was kind of like a circuit. We were going from like bus to hostel to city. So South America might be a better like immersion long-term thing like Chris did,
Mm-hmm.
or surgical. Like if you're going for 3 days to do this area and region.
Yeah.
So maybe not South America, not Africa. There's going to be plenty of these trips for sure.
Yeah.
I'm never going to stop burning the money I should use on other things
I gotcha.
to travel.
Yeah, maybe neither one of those.
Okay, so we've got Asia in general, Japan specifically, kind of on its own category, or we could loop it in with some of Asia, and Europe.
Yeah.
Middle East?
What would you want to see in the Middle East? Sell me on the Middle East.
I think this might be a topic to just stay off of in general. I don't know what joke I can make before.
No, I want to go to the Middle East. You've convinced me we're going to the Middle East, Zane. Let's plan this trip right now.
Look, we're in peace talks with the Taliban. I'm sure it's fine to go back to Ghani.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go back to old Afghanistan.
Old Afghanistan. Old Manistan.
Who's Stan?
He's
The
an old
old?
man, yeah.
Okay, so maybe not the Middle East. Fine. When
You sound pretty begrudgingly fine. I don't know. That seems like this is where you have your heart set on.
There's a ton of Europe I could do. There's a ton of like East Europe I haven't done. There's a ton of like
Middle Eastern Europe, would you say?
yeah, maybe you can get midway out there. Haven't done Russia. Would go there. I would absolutely.
What is there to do in Russia?
Drink.
Really? Is that it?
Well, there's at least that.
That's true. There is at least that.
There's cool architecture. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's sick museums. I want to
Mhm.
see the truth.
When I
What our
picture
government's been
visiting
hiding.
Russia, I picture an incredibly gray place, and I think that that's just been put in my head by American
US propaganda. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, how every depiction of Mexico has like a yellow haze filter over
Yeah,
it.
exactly. It's all sepia tone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of Mexico is sepia.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's true, too, which is the most crazy part. But yeah.
You really shouldn't make sepia comments about people's skins, Steve. I
Oh,
think
God.
the internet doesn't like that.
The internet. No, actually, I don't want to go. I apologize, internet. The internet is undefeated in all things right now.
Every 4chan video with their
Yeah.
weaponized. Oh my god.
The internet has never lost.
Internet historian, check it out if you ever need some entertainment with facts.
Yeah, if you ever want to know where memes are born, check out Internet Historian.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would unquestioningly and wholeheartedly go anywhere in Scandinavia again,
Mhm.
if that had any interest for you. That's definitely got some perks and stuff, but it's a little more nature, beautiful, outdoorsy, a little more hikey. Although the cities do have nightlife for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I only did like a major city or two in each big country, so there's like huge amounts of every single country in Europe that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Scotland was fucking awesome. We would have so much fun in Scotland.
Oh,
You've
yeah?
been there, right?
Yeah, but I was like,
We would have more fun now.
how old was I? I would have been 10 years old at the time.
Yeah, it's
I went for
it's more fun now.
Hogmanay, which was pretty crazy. They had some nutso rides there. Saw a lot of very drunk people. But yeah, Hogmanay is the Scottish New Year.
The Scottish New Year? Is that not just New
It's
Year's?
New Year's, but they call the party Hogmanay.
It's the Scottish New Year.
Yeah,
In
exactly.
June.
Yeah, exactly. The Celtic observance of the New Year, of the summer solstice.
Heathen pagan.
Yeah.
Did this cancel out? You're too
Heathen
wrong.
pagan?
Yeah.
I think it's double bad. I think that's double hell.
You're a heretic.
Yeah. I'm a blasphemer as well.
Aw, stretchy dog.
Yeah.
Everybody pet your pets. If you're home at home with them, pet them.
They need it now. Well, probably less than ever, but you need it now more than ever, so just go
And
for
they
it.
always need it.
Yeah, that's what they're there for.
Just to be touched by you. Okay, so we've done very little narrowing down in the 27 minutes that we've been trying
We've
to
got it down
discuss
to
this.
like a hemisphere.
Almost. You add all the areas up separately.
We got it most of the way there.
Okay, so we're thinking Asia or Europe
Or Australia.
or Australia.
Yeah, or New Zealand, but we'll lump that in with Australia.
I know you can do like pretty much the whole of New Zealand camper van style in about 3 weeks. So if we want to do a 3-week trip, I know you could do
But
that.
what about all the personal stories that you won't get in a camper van? You know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, you get out of the camper van sometimes.
New Zealand
you know,
is made up of thousands of people, I presume.
and
You can't
thousands
see it
more
all.
sheep.
You can't see it all in a couple days.
No, but you can hit a lot of the major landmarks and things. It's drivable to see both islands like that.
Very true. Well, can you drive from New Zealand to Australia?
No.
So it's not that drivable.
No. New Zealand is drivable. Australia, not really drivable. New Zealand to Australia, definitely not drivable.
How long do you think it would take you to get from one side of Australia to the other?
Are you going around the circumference? Because driving across the middle is
not
not
all the
good.
way around. Yeah, across the middle. You make it a clean cut.
I think it's
bisecting
divide by
Australia.
0 because your car overheats and you die without water.
No
Like,
way.
dude, some mass, like 98% of the outback is not habitated.
Yeah.
There's a good chance if you're not stocked up for like a legitimate expedition that you could just die.
But there's no way to drive straight through Australia without hitting that.
that is 90% of their country.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no wonder it was
A
on
huge
fire.
amount of it is outback.
No. Oh, yeah, no wonder.
All of their cities are coastal.
What a perfect prison colony. Suffer in the heat.
You got to drive the outside, and it's not quite so quick as Iceland.
Yeah.
I go back to Iceland. Heck, I do Western Canada.
Western Canada.
Out there, that's where they got their nature.
Never heard of her.
Okay. So, Europe or Asia, I guess we'll have to leave it, or Australia.
Yeah.
Narrowed down to those thrice for now.
Those thricely.
We want majority cities, like for the most part, going out in the night, going to shows and wandering around museums and cultural sites during the day. Hostels also arrange tons of stuff, like
Yeah.
pub crawls and trivia nights
Oh,
and
that's fun.
daytime tours, and they put you in contact with tour people. Hostels are great to get recommendations on like what to see, what to do, where to go, what's happening. So just like fill a couple of days like that in a city,
Yeah.
and then move to another city.
Yeah, do 2 in one trip.
Yeah. Not usually, a lot of the time when I was in Sweden doing a trip, I would have like 8 or 9 days where I'd only miss one class. So I'd fit it in and try and do like 3 countries like that, or 3 cities really.
Yeah.
But I would do like 2 days, travel, 2 days, travel, 2 days, travel home. And that was enough time by myself to like do the whole city touring thing
Mm-hmm.
and then go out at night, hang out with my couch surfing host, whatever. But it was a little bit fast paced with 2 people. When Carter came to Italy with me and we went to Rome, he got real sick of that after like 6 hours of walking.
Oh, really? I feel like I would like that, though. Actually, no. I've walked around cities all day for a while, and it does always suck.
I liked it a lot in foreign countries because then you just go into any cafe and it's like, this is so cool and different.
Yeah.
Or into any restaurant or any shop, and all the churches are old and gigantic and really cool to architecturally look at.
After walking for a while, though, your boy starts chafing, and that's no fun. Doesn't matter what city I'm in.
Gotta rub the Vaseline
Maybe
betwixt your thighs.
betwixt them as they slosh back and forth ever so constantly.
Moisten your thighs, Steve.
Yeah, really. You
You
gotta
want-
lube them up.
You don't want chapped thigh skin.
You're right, I don't. That's pretty spot on. You got me nailed there for sure.
All right, so like some city, we didn't do much narrowing down. What are some countries that
We
let
may
me
have widened
right.
up, in fact.
let me rapid fire at the end of it. We're gonna do everyone's favorite segment that we always come back to. 20 questions,
Okay.
except this is assault 20 questions where I'm throwing them at you real fast. Somebody here, let me get pen and paper so I can keep tally count, and I'm gonna use this to data mine information about what we're gonna do for this fucking trip.
Okay.
All right. Do you definitely want to do drinking?
Yes.
Do you want to drink a lot of the time, some of the time, most of the time? Percentage. Give me an estimate.
Percentage, that's gonna be
Like of the nights, not saying during the day too.
Oh,
but
of
like,
the nights.
do you want clubbing to be a consistent part of this?
Yeah,
going
like
out?
60, 70, 80, 70.
I gotcha.
70%.
So most, all right, that's fine. We can easily do that. Do you want drugs to be involved with this? Should we consider an Amsterdam pit stop?
I don't do drugs.
I'll mark that down as a no with a Y at the front. Okay. Do you want to go to a place with with people that look like you or not? Because you're going to stand the fuck out if we go to
Irrelevant.
Thailand.
Irrelevant.
It's absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because there's a cultural aspect to what you're experiencing. Like, do you want to understand the language where
I'm
we go?
open to all. Well, the thing is, I'm not going to be able to tell either way because I don't see color, so it'll be fine.
You see height.
Yeah, that's true, but people come in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah, how many doorways do you want to duck through on this trip?
Most of them
There's a
if I
lot-
can.
Most of them? All right.
Yeah.
We're going east.
That's the Atlantic Ocean.
Farther east. Somebody would say
Pacific
to the
Ocean.
far east. Can you say Orient? Is that still like a region
It's
of
a
the
bad
globe, or
idea.
is that
Yeah, it is.
not a person, but like whatever? I don't even know what it refers to specifically in terms of which countries and landmass.
Yeah.
But
Probably
when the Orient was
Oriental
used as a
ones.
regional reference, I'm wondering if that's still a valid term.
I'd stray away. It's one of
Okay,
those
I'm going to
things.
count that as a question for you.
Okay. Will not use the word Orient.
Next questions. Sock, shoe, shoe, or sock, shoe, shoe?
Sock, shoe, shoe every time. Come on.
That's good. You're not
What
an
am I, a
idiot.
psycho?
All right. Do you want to be staying in hostels, hotels, couch surfing with family? Like, what level of formality are we looking for?
Yeah, hostel or hotel.
Any camping, camp trailer, camp van, campsite?
I've never really done camp. I've done camp trailer before, like an RV kind of thing.
Any of that?
It was all right. I wouldn't mind that. Like we had we were hooked up to the power source and everything. That was kind of cool. I'd probably do that again.
Okay.
Yeah, I could do that again.
Interested in art, architecture?
Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't have to be an everyday thing though. I feel like
Mhm.
unless it's some really crazy architecture and everything's crazy different, that's maybe 2 days max in a place. Like I only need to see, if we're going to a museum, I only got to see one museum and then I'll have my museum fill.
I gotcha. A lot of the cathedrals started to look the same.
I bet they did.
But then some stood out, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Beach or no beach?
There doesn't need to be a beach. That's not a deal breaker.
Okay. How urban do you want this? Any countryside, any towns, any villages, or cities except for day outings?
Cities except for day outings.
Are there any massive sites or cultural sites that you would want to see? Like either
Yeah.
natural, like, for example, pyramids, Eiffel Tower. Like,
Yeah, if we were in Egypt, I would goddamn
Okay.
hope we go see the pyramids. And same goes for
A,
the Eiffel
would you
Tower.
want to see stuff like that? Answered. B, are there any in particular in Asia, Australia, like Sydney Opera House stick out to you, Great Barrier Reef before it's more bleached?
See, there's way too many to pick from me. I don't have anything specific.
Okay, like I had one literal bucket list item, which was the Trolltunga hike in Norway.
Yeah.
So I knew if I was doing hiking and I was going to be in Scandinavia, it made sense to line it up on that.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were going to be in Spain at some point and you really wanted to see that crazy cool cathedral in whatever the hell city at
I
Barcelona.
want to see Notre Dame.
Ooh, it's crispy. It's the spicy version.
Okay.
But
The devil got that one.
okay, so just curious to see if you had anything in specific like that. Do you want activities? Hiking, snorkeling, scuba diving,
All the above.
snowmobiling, like actual activities, and to what degree? Because there can be mountains to climb in Japan. If we do
Yeah.
Japan, we're doing Mount Fuji.
Yeah, if there's a mountain,
I'll climb it.
I don't know how much more action I need in my week or however long, more than a whole big ass mountain. So
I like to
it depends on I'm down for a lot, but depends on how it's kind of spread out and everything.
Yeah. Like if we can do a whole day of surf lessons, is that
Yeah, like that's cool, yeah. But there's also going to be lazy days.
Oh, for sure.
That are more just like kind of walking around, hitting up pubs and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Any particular regions or like languages, cultures, food preferences that you might have that point toward one region or another? Like even if we say Europe, there's a huge branching set of options. Do you
I
have a
don't know
particular,
enough
like, do you
about-
prefer maybe Hispanic culture? We'll go Spain or Portugal over that way. Like,
I feel like I don't know enough about foreign cuisine to like pick a place where it's like, oh, that's the food I want to be eating. Like, I'm sure Italy.
well, I'll
has
tell you for
great
sure,
food.
Scandinavia is not the place if you're there for the cuisine.
Okay. I mean, I would
I
like
ate
to eat
reindeer
good
out of a
food.
tube and fermented herring.
I'm so sorry you had to do that. But yeah, I guess I'd rather go to like Italy or something because it has, I'm sure, really good
Do you want
and
food to be a
wine.
part of the trip? Because for me, it largely was eating in every country I went to. I tried to have some of their food.
Food's got to be a big part of the trip.
Hell yeah.
Get some place with some good food.
Okay. How much like sightseeing, and I mean kind of like expedition? Like, you know how you can do helicopter rides in Hawaii, glass bottom boat trips, more like the kind of expensive tourism things, but you get to see cool stuff, or like go paragliding, like outings like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, no, some, one, none.
Yeah, we'll do one of those.
Like one fun thing like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
How interested are you in like organized events? When I say hostels do trivia nights or pub crawls or themed whatevers.
Yeah, that'd be cool to like make friends while we're out there.
If we go to Budapest, there's a chain of, or not chain, a network of 6 independent party hostels. Actually, 2 are owned by the same company, but the others are independent. And every night of the week, they have like a calendar going where all 6 hostels do stuff together every night of the week. So no matter which one you're staying at, there's always something happening, at least one event during the night, sometimes 2.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always more of a crowd than just your hostel.
Okay. So wait, what kind of events are these? Like, would this
Pub
be
crawls, like
similar? Okay.
bicycle beer tours around the city.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that sounds like basically like what spring break was.
Yeah.
But it sounds like this is just more on you. Like they are not actually shepherding you into a vehicle and taking you there and
Correct.
making sure you get back in time.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that's 17 questions. What is your name?
Fuck, I don't remember. Why did these questions get so hard all of a sudden? What the hell are you? I don't know. Ask me about what color people I like again. That was way easier than that last one.
Well, the next question is, what is your favorite color?
White.
And the last one, why is Gamora?
Why is Gamora? Oh, Avengers reference. Well done, Zane.
All right. So we've not made a lot of progress, but it sounds like we're going snowmobiling on Mount Fuji before we check out the Great Whites in Cape Town.
Sounds like a plan to me.
I think we've got it figured out. Maybe we could even bring a fan along with us.
Yeah, one lucky fan with an all-expenses paid trip to somewhere in the world.
You'll have to tune in next time to find out on A Couple of Fellas.